So their whole contention is they found where your libido is in your brain. Okay, so get ready for this. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on Nootropics, on TRT, on biohacking, on male performance. Please subscribe to the channel because, hey, bro, I know you're going to love the content, so just hit the sub button now. All right, and here's the deal. You either owe me a like or you don't owe me a like, and it depends on whether you get this wrong, so pick it, heads or tails. I'm going to flip this coin. Let's go. All right, it landed on heads. If you picked heads, you're good to go. You can move on. But if you picked tails, you got it wrong, and you owe your boy a like. Who are we? We are Cortex Labs. We're predominantly a male performance company that specializes in globally shipped nootropic stacks. The most popular of them is the Torque stack, which you can find in the description below. The Cortex stack, by the way, the new formula is launching this week or next week, so we already have it completed, so look forward to that. And I'm a consultant on male performance, TRT, energy optimization, erectile dysfunction, nootropics. You can find everything I'm associated with in the description of this video. So what I want to do in this video is I want to talk about PT-141. This is an injectable peptide that was essentially designed to tan people. Like that's what it was initially built for. Like it could actually tan your skin. But they found out that the people that were using it had a hyperactive sexual function. You know, guys had erections, girls had their sex drive back and were ready to have sex. And so as a lot of you know, PT-141, this injectable peptide, which is like a melanocortin receptor agonist, has become kind of mainstay in the TRT community and like the male optimization community as something that you could kind of ad hoc inject and get libido and erection quality for men, like, you know, hours later. It actually takes some time to onset. And I've done videos about this. I'll flash it on the screens for you guys to go watch it, like where I dug deep to find the mechanism of this, and it had to do with the melanocortin receptors in the hypothalamus, but ultimately what it ends up doing is forcing dopamine release. Now this is females and it may be different for males, but I don't believe that it is. This study basically goes, animal studies suggest that bremelanotide, which is PT-141, may affect female sexual desire by activating presynaptic MC4Rs. These are the melanocortin receptors that it binds to on neurons in the MPOA. That's the medial preoptic area of the hypothalamus. And I'm going to get to why this is important in a second, so please pay attention. Leading to, though, increases in the release of dopamine, an excitatory neurotransmitter that increases sexual desire, right? So I had basically elucidated that mechanism many months ago, almost a year ago, probably more, when I did that video. There's a paper, somebody tossed this to me like recently, titled "Stanford Medicine Scientists Locate Key Brain Circuit Containing the Seat of Male Libido." So their whole contention is they found where your libido is in your brain. Okay, so get ready for this. So this is an image of a mouse brain. Okay. You know, I get that there's limitations with mice, but however, they're actually very physiologically, anatomically similar to us, and they're easy to use and like deal with. And that's essentially why, you know, we deal with mice. People that go like, "Oh, it's a mouse study." Like, you're not smarter than the scientists that decided, you know, to use mice for these things. There's good reason for it. They go, in this image of a mouse's brain, pink. So the pink color denotes the bed nucleus of the striatal terminus. The green is the preoptic hypothalamus. So this is this region of the hypothalamus that is really important, you know, for PT-141 and its effect on your sexual arousal and erection quality, as well as just understand like Stanford's notion of where libido actually is in your brain. They go, the impulse flows from pink to green in the neural circuit governing mating drive, behavior, and satisfaction. Now, look where the cursor is. This is the important thing. They go, we've singled out circuit in male mammals' brains that controls sexual recognition, libido, and mating behavior and pleasure. Now, this is a professor of psychiatry and neurobiology, right? And she's an author of like studies and whatever. Here's the crazy thing. So they identified that right there in the medial preoptic hypothalamus is where libido sits for a male. When they stimulated this area kind of artificially, superficially, they reduced the refractory period. That's the period after sex in which you don't want to have sex. You're not interested in sex. It's like, you know, your rest period. You have sex, you know, like boners go down. You're not interested in sex for a period thereafter. It's going to be different for different people based on prolactin. The higher the prolactin, the longer your refractory period is going to be. The lower your prolactin with like cabergoline or P5P or whatever, then, you know, your refractory period is going to be a lot less and you'll want to have sex more. You'll be ready sooner. By stimulating this region that they found that was responsible for libido and sexual arousal and sexual satisfaction and pleasure in males, they were able to reduce refractory period 400,000 fold. Look where the cursor is up here, because I can't highlight on this fucking website for some reason. I guess they don't want you to copy it. But they go directly stimulating just the substance P receptor containing neurons of the preoptic hypothalamus via experimental manipulations prompted male mice that had just ejaculated to immediately reprise their sexual mating routine all the way to a second consummation, the presence of a female mouse. It took 1 second or less for them to resume sexual activity. That's more than a 400,000 fold reduction in the refractory period. Okay, so what does this all mean? It means that you stimulate this area that Stanford has found is responsible for male libido. Okay, not only does it get mice to want to have sex, but it reduces their refractory period, meaning the period where they wouldn't, after ejaculation, where they wouldn't be interested in sex. It reduced it to less than a second. Like, I just think, let's just step back a second from the sciencey stuff and be like, that's fucking hilarious, dude. Mouse like mounts a female mouse, like ejaculates, and then like sits for a second, and like a second passes, and he goes, "I'm ready to go again." That just blows my mind completely, right? It took 1 second or less to resume sexual activity. Okay, so we know that, right? Now look, libido is very complicated. There's spinal cord interactions. I think the junk plays a major role in libido, whether people want to admit that or not. I've actually dug so deep into the research doing erectile dysfunction consultations and dealing with ED back in the day myself. And, it's complicated. There's a lot of things that go into it, and all of it has to be straight. You can't just have a perfectly functioning hypothalamus, but like, sub 300, or for some guys like sub 600 nanograms per deciliter total test. Test has to be high too. So this area of the brain that gets stimulated, this is the medial preoptic area of the hypothalamus. Here's a couple visuals for you to understand exactly. This is probably a better visual. You see where it's pointing to hypothalamus right here? That sort of structure is what it is. And you got this gland here. That's the pituitary gland. You got the posterior and the anterior pituitary gland. So this is centrally where, according to that Stanford article, the male libido sits. It's right in that area. Now, the limbic system is involved in this too. There's other coordinative circuitry in the brain that facilitates libido, but a lot of the activation, kind of the end point, happens, right in this preoptic area of the hypothalamus. For a melanotide, or PT-141, this injectable peptide is stimulating the melanocortin receptors in that area and forcing dopamine release in that area. This is why. So like, this is a way, it's almost like with PT-141, you're kind of doing what they did in that rat study, right? You're going to lower refractory period. You're turning on the neural circuits for the desire for sex. Some guys are going to get better erections with PT-141. Interestingly, some guys aren't going to, because again, it's not just the hypothalamus. It's not just like hypothalamus mediated. If you've got like atrophied blood vessels and vasculature in your junk, then you're not going to get good erections. But as I've described in the past, when I talked about this in a previous video, PT-141 is actually really clutch if you have hypoactive sexual disorder. If you're not into sex, you're not interested in sex, or erections are kind of mad, you're trying to figure that out. While you're figuring out the physiology of it, which you should absolutely be doing, whether it's a hormone problem or other, PT-141 is a great drug to be taking, which is proven safe. It's not very sustainable, meaning like, I don't think you should be taking it every day. It's not going to consistently produce the same result. There's a tolerance with it, no question. It's a pretty epic peptide, and peptides are like all the fucking talk these days. Peptides are pretty cool to induce powerful sexual function, wherein you're essentially activating the same regions of the brain that this Stanford article had identified is responsible for libido. All right, as I said in the beginning, yeah, look, we're a male performance company that specializes in a lot. I guess let's just skip the consultations, because that's kind of what we're talking about here, like erectile function. I just opened up an erectile dysfunction consultation, like an entire program that is dedicated to fixing guys' junk. I feel your pain. If you got any kind of erectile dysfunction in any capacity, I've been there before. It's not fun. It's actually quite embarrassing. And, it's like, how can you really feel like a man if you can't perform? So like, over the years, not just in consultations, but in research and in experimentation and in consultations, really all those things combined, if you've got every facet of what fosters erection quality right, and in some cases, you're doing the necessary rehab. Some guys think you just need to straighten your hormones. Well, you actually need to do penile rehab, and there's a way to do that You'll get your erection quality back and be popping boners like you're a teenager. I just dropped the erectile dysfunction recovery, 20-minute call with me or 30-minute back and forth email, and then a protocol dialed in for you. Get that at livecortex.com. We just launched the TRT protocol optimization consultation. We were doing that with just general biohacking calls before. Now there's a full-on TRT protocol optimization. So we need to get your protocol straight for one reason or another. I've been working with guys on TRT for just above a half a decade. I can help you. Book me in under a minute, livecortex.com. As I said also in the beginning, the Torque stack, probably the most purchased nootropic stack on the web. I mean, people just love it, right? Predictable energy, good mood, motivated, dopaminergic energy. Like, it's just a very, very powerful stack. Buy it in the description below. Go to the website, read the reviews, like read what people have to say about the Torque stack. Like, people are all over it. They love the stack. And a quick announcement about the Cortex stack. Okay, so Cortex stack ran out of stock. We actually had some issue with our product manufacturer who went out of business and we had to switch to another company. That was the perfect time for me to change the formula. Formula is different. It's an entirely new stack. It's a stack that I had been taking myself, which is a stimulant and a balancer. It's a focus and flow stack. That thing is finished. Okay, so production is finished and it will be ready to ship either late this week or middle next week. Okay, so make sure you're signed up for the email list at livecortex.com. If you go to the website, there'll be a pop-up that pops up that asks to give you like a free nootropics site, which is actually pretty useful. Put your email address in. We'll send you an email when the thing launches, because we're going to be selling it cheaper to that email list, not on YouTube. So get on the email list. This stack is a focus and flow stack. It's very energetic. It's very cool. It feels very good. And yeah, it's ready, my friends. So, I'll keep you guys posted on when it launches. Obviously, I do a video about it here. Look forward to that. All right, everybody. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. Hope you guys have a great day. And I will talk to you on the next one.